Hi, Joseph here. Welcome back to Scout Smarts. Today's episode is about first aid. Now, first aid is the first thing that you can do to help yourself or somebody else who gets injured or has another medical emergency. First aid can be as simple as putting a Band-Aid on or as complicated as performing CPR. First aid is really important because you never know when it could save your life or the life of somebody else. In the Scouts, we spend a lot of time learning first aid for just this reason. Today, we're going to meet one of my good friends, Ashish, and he's going to teach us about some basic first aid situations and how to treat them, so that you'll know what to do if you ever find yourself with one of these injuries or emergencies.
Hey, my name is Ashish, and I'm a Scout in Troop 19. When you first think of first aid, the word first aid, you might think of a first aid kit, one of the most common things that you would use in a first aid situation. Now, there are different types of first aid kits, one that you could buy in a box or a bag, and you can buy them at the store, or you can make them by yourself. So this is the first aid kit that we have today. Now, there are different types of things in a first aid kit, such as different types of Band-Aids, triple antibiotic cream, latex gloves, tweezers, moleskin, and an ACE bandage. So these are the different types, and depending on the situation, you might use more or less, or different types of things that you would use in the first aid kit. Now, today we're going to go over different situations and how you would use these in your first aid. The first thing we're going to be talking about is cuts and scrapes. Let's say you or your friend gets a cut or scrape. There's a couple of first steps that you have to take. First thing, you want to make sure that the area that got cut or scraped is clear of dirt or any other things that could get it infected. This is really important before you do anything else. Second, you want to put an antibiotic type of cream, like this, on it. And if you don't have this available, if you could use soap and water, that would also be great. Then after that, you want to put a Band-Aid over it to make sure that you cover the bleeding. Now, make sure that this part in the middle, the white part of the Band-Aid, covers the area well enough so that it isn't bleeding out. After a couple of hours, you can check if the bleeding has stopped and take off the Band-Aid. But if it hasn't, make sure to put on another Band-Aid, a new one. The second thing that we're going to talk about is blisters. Blisters are yellow bubbles filled with little liquid that form on your hands or feet. Now, in order to help these get better, you don't want to pop them. That's one of the most common things that people will do, and that can turn into infection or something worse. So what you would want to do is to use moleskin. Now, what you want to do is cut out a piece that fits around the blister and then put it on. Most of these come where you can peel them off, but if you have to, you can use medical tape or just tape to put it on there. And what moleskin does is it reduces the friction between anything and the blister to get it to go away by itself. So if you ever have blisters, moleskin is what you need to use. Next, we're going to be talking about minor burns. Now, if you've touched a hot stove before, you probably already know what it feels like, and you probably already guessed how to treat them. One of the first things you can do is hold it under cold water for 5 to 10 minutes until the pain goes away. Or another thing you can do is a cold, wet rag and hold it until the pain goes away. The next thing we are going to be talking about are bug bites. Now, bug bites are super common, but can also be dangerous if not treated. The first most common bug bite are mosquitoes, and especially in the summer. Now, if you're not really sensitive to mosquito bites, don't scratch at it because it's going to make it worse. But anything that you can do is use anti-itch cream to make it better. The second, probably the most dangerous compared to mosquito bites, is a bee sting. It's more dangerous because it hurts more, and the stingers usually get stuck in your skin after the bee leaves. Now, to treat for this, you want to use either a straight edge or an ID or a plastic card like this and go upward or against the stinger to get it out. Now, if you can't do that, or if it's easier to get to, you want to use tweezers to pick at it to get it out. But this is something that should always be in your first aid kit. Now, the next thing we are going to cover is nosebleeds. Now, the thing with nosebleeds is they suck, but if you can learn how to deal with them the right way, then you can get it overdone quickly. Now, the first thing if someone gets a nosebleed is to give them tissue or paper towels to help with the bleeding, as it's going to be coming through their noses. Now, a very common misconception for nosebleeds is that you have to tilt your head backward, and so that would stop the bleeding. But that's actually the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is tilt your head forward and then pinch the bridge of your nose. that would stop the bleeding from coming down. And why you want to do that is because if you tilt your head backward, the blood drips through your throat, which could cause vomiting and choking. And we want to completely avoid that. Now, if you need more tissues because the blood keeps going, then exchange it while it's needed. But if it goes on for more than 20 minutes, you want to make sure that you ask an adult to take you to get a doctor or see a doctor. Now, one of the last things we're going to be talking about is a super common thing, sunburns. That can happen to anybody while you're outside or exposed to the sun. Now, it's usually like a red spot or patch that comes around your body that can be pretty painful. The way to treat this is a smooth layer of aloe vera or lotion that has aloe vera inside of it. You want to make sure that you put this on so that it soothes the pain and keep it as cool as possible. You want to make sure to prevent sunburns, you wear sunscreen as much as possible, especially on hot days and in the summer. Even if you can't get sunburned, it's important that you put on sunscreen because you might develop skin cancer that might appear not now, but later in your life when you never expect it.
The first aid situations in this video are just the tip of all first aid knowledge that there is. If there was a video that had all of the things you could learn about first aid, it would be hours long. But hopefully by watching this video, you now know what to do if you or somebody you know experiences one of these minor issues. Now, it's possible that you could come across something that's much more serious than the things we've talked about in this video. If you come across a serious medical emergency, always call 911, even if you do know how to give first aid. If somebody is experiencing a medical emergency where they need a doctor, the best first aid that you can do is to get them to one as soon as possible. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.